Well, howdy y'all, welcome back to the Social Regressive. In a previous video I talked about how I had looked through a Bushnell Banner 2 out at my local Walmart. I wanted to see what the bottom end of Bushnell looked like nowadays. I remember back in the day it was kind of a mushy image, it wasn't that great. It looked like it could get the job done. It was okay, and it was, pretty good for what the price was, and I could see why a lot of people had them, but I wasn't amazed or anything. But looking through that scope out at the Walmart, I realized that Bushnell has a really nice bottom. So today we're going to be taking a look through the scope. You're actually going to see what the image looks like, and I'm going to walk you through the various tests that I did, including some tracking tests. This scope is worth well more than its dollar amount. Out the door, you can pick up the Bushnell Banner 2 3 to 9x40 at your local Walmart, at your local Academy. You can go out the door for $100. This, I think, comes in at about $89, pretty much wherever you buy it. So yeah, after shipping, after tax, it's probably going to be at $100 or maybe even just a little bit less. What does a sub $100 scope feel like? Actually, it turns out to feel pretty darn good. As I turn the zoom ring, I can't feel the cam tube. I don't feel any clicks or hitches. There's no grit. The only thing that I can feel in this cold is that it seems to pop. If I stick it in one spot for a second, like here on 5, and then go to move it to 6, it does feel like I'm overcoming a little gap. There's just like a little hitch, and then it starts to move. But other than that, it's easy to turn. It feels really nice. The eyepiece feels very fluid, very smooth. It feels like it's riding on a good grease. And this has enough tension in it that it's not accidentally going to spin on you very easily. So if you have adjusted this for your eye, it's probably not going to accidentally spin while you're walking out to your hunting stand. The other controls on here are going to be pretty simple, as you can imagine. This is just a fixed 3 to 9x40, so it's not going to have side focus. These are very simple turrets. They're not target turrets. They're not going to track up and down or anything. So what you do is you just click over to your, oh, that feels really good. These snap very neatly. One of the coolest things about having a big company like Bushnell is that once they have nailed a good mechanical system, it seems like they can just adapt it and throw it into all of their other scopes. So what you're dealing with here is probably something that they developed for maybe their old 6500 system or the Elite Tactical, whatever kind of technology they came up with. It seems like it's running through here. Not only do these clicks feel good, but they are perfect. They are precise. So we are snapping through an MOA target, and you're going to notice that we don't have everything in focus. This target is at 50 yards. This is a scope that's parallax adjusted, focus adjusted for 100 yards. So you can't have both in focus at the same time. At 100 yards, this would look just fine. But the important thing here is to see where we're hitting the lines. So as I click through these turrets, you can see that we're hitting the spots just right, and we can go as far off as we want, all the way to the edges of what the adjustment can take, and we can roll it back to 0, and it's going to hit the exact same spot. So this is a repeatable scope. You shouldn't ever have to worry about losing 0. But here, this doesn't seem to have any kind of resettable 0. What you do is you just click this into place, and you're going to leave it. This is probably not something that you're going to be dialing out in the field. You're just going to cap it back off. Now let's concentrate on the image. I have my resolution chart at 50 yards, so again, we can't have both in focus at the exact same time at this distance. So what I've done is I've gotten the reticle out of focus. But you can see just looking through the lenses that we have lots of detail, we can see lots of resolution, we can see all kinds of tiny little things heading down in there, especially for the price point. Yes, the other ones in the Bushnell lineup are going to look even better, but this is much better than I expected. And as you can see, if we get off to the edges, the image still looks really good. So if you have a herd of deer you're trying to keep an eye on, you're going to be able to see details about them, not just maybe the one that you're aiming at, but you'll be able to see another that's following along behind. Now what about that reticle that we've had hiding out of focus? Let's take a good look at it. As you can see, this is not your typical crosshair reticle. This is a ballistic drop reticle. This is their DOA from Bushnell. A bunch of companies have similar setups, but this is designed to help you get on target at different distances. You're going to have to hold up as you start getting at some of these longer distances, and these lines are going to indicate where you go. Now this is all going to be based on your individual ballistics. So what you should probably do if you buy one of these is download the Bushnell app, and it's going to help you figure out what these different distances are going to be at a certain fixed magnification. So what you're going to do, once you've entered your data, you enter your ballistic coefficient of your bullet, which you'll be able to find on the manufacturer's website, or you can enter a type of ammunition that you bought. And from there, it's going to tell you, okay, in order to get certain drops, like a 200-yard drop for the first line, 300 for the second, 400 for the third, then what you're going to have to do is dial your magnification to a specific setting. So it might be that you just continue to use this scope at the 4x setting. Now, if you want to be able to see more detail, of course you can zoom up. It's just the drops are not going to be the same. This is a second focal plane reticle, and it's going to change its value based on what your magnification is. Once you have it figured out, though, it's very easy to make those difficult shots out in the field. And you can use these lines to help figure out your distances to objects. You can use, say, the distance between these two posts and see how it compares to the size of a deer. This is something where you'll have to do a little bit of math. You'll have to figure it out beforehand, but you can start to figure out distances to different objects. If you have a laser rangefinder, all the better. You can get very precisely on target. The image quality that you see through this scope is due to a couple of things. First off, these lenses seem to be a much higher quality than you're getting on the Bushnell Banners of the past. These seem to just have a better grind, they seem to be a better material, they absorb more light, and these also have really good lens coatings. One of the most important of which is going to be the exo barrier that we have here. All these lenses are fully multi-coated. They are designed to absorb light and not get into a lot of the internal reflections. And actually, one thing that I tested with this is looking at objects with the sun kind of roughly in the image. You don't want the sun actually pointing through the scope, you're going to blind yourself. But I had it just a little bit off axis, and this does a really good job of not blooming out like a lot of other scopes will. This just doesn't seem to get into those internal reflections. You can just a little bit if you have something off, but for the most part, it's going to kind of bounce it all away. But also on these lenses, you have something called the exo barrier that is going to repel fog, water, dirt, dust, debris, and it's not going to hang on to sap, fingerprints, any of that stuff. This is just going to be a wipe clean lens. You can use, maybe some kind of solution that you have for your glasses or whatever. It's just going to clean right up. They have come up with some kind of nutty extra barrier that they can put on these lenses, and really they claim that nothing will stick to it, and it's going to resist scratches as well. This is going to be a very good hard use scope. You're going to be able to take this out into the woods and get some real work done and not have to worry too much about damaging it. Part of that toughness is also the waterproofing that they've put throughout all of this. This is a scope that's IPX7 rated, which is one of the highest you can get. You can not only splash this scope, but you can put this under 3 feet of water for 30 minutes, pull it back out, and get back to your hunt. So if you ditch your scope into the drink, like you drop your rifle into a pond or something, no problem, fish it back out, clear the bore, get back to work. One other thing I should point out about this image is that it continues into dusk. They have what they call their low light coatings, dusk and dawn, and it does work. However they have these coatings set up and whatever kind of glass quality they have, this does continue to function into those low light hours. After the sun is set and you're waiting for that big deer to finally come down, this scope is going to be functioning at that time. You might think that getting a scope of this quality for 89 bucks is good enough, but no, Bushnell just had to go ahead and throw in some extra goodies. So you're gonna get a bikini cover, a lens cloth, and they actually threw in 1-inch rings, which I think these are made by Weaver. And you can see that they're not too high. Now, for most of your rifles, you're going to want to get this just a little bit closer. So if this doesn't quite do it for you, check out the Weaver quad lock rings. These are highly recommended by myself. These have a very, very low saddle height, as you can see, very low distance. You can get this really down close to the bore, a little bit easier to see through, and it's just going to be a little bit better for your ballistics overall as well. So you can check these out. There are some really good 1-inch rings out there, but I just love the quad locks. Before you run out and buy one of these, I should mention that there are a couple of other models in the same line. This is kind of your standard 3 to 9x40, but there is an extended eye relief model as well for the same price. There's also an illuminated reticle model for $99. You just take it up an extra $10. And then for that same price, $99, you can get a 3 to 9x50 now. That just came out after this last hunting season, which is just cruel. But you folks that are coming into the 2022 hunting season, you're going to have the option of a much larger objective, and that is going to have an even prettier image, I'm sure, and it's going to be able to absorb even more light. So this one, to me, I think is going to work really well past dusk, but if you really want to make sure that you can see any animal as things start to get darker, that scope is going to absorb a lot of light. Some other options that you might think about include others in the Bushnell catalog. For example, you have the Bushnell Prime, and this just kind of takes the build quality up a good bit. This just seems to be better machined all around. I mean, this one is good, but it just feels a little bit extra special. This is made in South Korea. It has very smooth controls. It has an illuminated center dot, and this one costs about $200. It's going to come with flip caps and a couple extra little goodies. Yeah, this just seems to take that build quality up a little bit, and I think its image is a little bit better out to the edges. You also have the Bushnell Engage series, which is going to include even better glass. This is going to have a very pristine image out to the edges. That is just a beautiful, beautiful image, a good step up. And that's where you're starting to get up around $300. They have 3 to 9x50, 3 to 9x40. They have tactical models, all that sort of stuff. But yeah, if you're just looking for something inexpensive to put on your rifle, I really don't think you can go wrong with the Banner 2. Thanks a lot to patrons of the Destructive Arts for making these tests possible, and thank you to Bushnell for sending this out. It's nice to be able to get this down on the bench, get it on the ground, and be able to figure out exactly how it works, and to show you guys that I'm not making it up. This thing actually is quite nice. I will see y'all in the next video. We're going to talk about the Prime.
Thanks for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe. Even if you didn't like this particular content, go ahead and subscribe. There's probably something coming that's more up your alley. Check out this playlist right here. This is going to have videos in a similar vein to what you just watched. These two videos we cherry-picked for you. And finally, The Social Regressive is on Patreon. So you can become a patron of the Destructive Arts and earn some goodies while helping us to provide high-quality videos just by kicking us a few bucks a month. Thanks a bunch for your patronage.